Hey everyone, and welcome back to the news. What an interesting few days. I mean this really, I'm truly fascinated by how the last while has went down. You probably noticed the big video barrage. I did those videos assuming a very much BlizzCon-like attitude towards the news, but it didn't pan out that way, did it? That's very interesting, and that's something we absolutely need to talk about.
I'm going to pause this real quick. What's he trying to show with these videos? I want to pause it and see like where he's going and like what he's trying to say. He's saying that people are I think what he's trying to say is that people are apathetic because a lot of these videos haven't really gotten a lot of views, and I think he believes that people are just like getting kind of fed up. That's what I think he's trying to say. He's balding faster than you. I wish that were true.
About today. There is one thing though, a tiny bit of housekeeping. Whenever I announced what the Patreon stuff was for this month, I actually held up the wrong thing. It's the mage theme, that's why the magical library is actually this month's card. The Twisting Nether is next month's. That was totally my mistake, so yeah, just important to let everybody know that that's what's up. This is this month, the Twisting Nether is next month. And I confused myself. But okay, broadly I think there are three things that I really want to cover here. They're extremely important to me. So thing number one is the overall response to the announcement of patch 8.2. It's a patch that based
I really like Jeremy Fiesel. I hope he does more presentations for a while.
On what they were saying, I personally felt quite interested and quite excited, but I thought, yeah, okay, you know, they're saying the right things. Obviously, we need to wait and see how they actually pan out, but this sounds pretty good. However, when I looked at the overall responses and a few other things, the thought that entered my mind was, wow, has the camel's back finally broken? Like, are people now a lot more cynical than they have been about WoW in the past? And
I would say so.
After going through my Twitter followers, who would definitely skew positive, a lot of people were just basically saying like, yeah, I don't really trust Blizzard anymore. I can't take any of this stuff as being truth, which I suppose given the past is pretty much a fair thing to say, I would say. So that's the first thing I want to cover. The second thing I just want to touch on, you know, Preach and the Summit and all that stuff. And then finally, the interesting thing that was revealed with the mount equipment change and just how it reveals something.
I think that a lot of people, yeah, they probably were a little bit, you know, like, I think WoD was, like, the first time that people, like, really experienced, like, Blizzard truly under-delivering. Because, like, Cataclysm, like, a lot of people didn't like it. But, I think WoD was really the first time. And Legion, all things considered, Legion was a good expansion. I think that Legion was a good expansion despite Titan Forging. It was a good expansion despite having 4 difficulties, etc. And if Legion had like the core philosophy changes that I think would make the game better, it would probably be the best expansion they had made since Wrath, maybe even better than Wrath, and on par with Burning Crusade. Legion was a really good expansion in a lot of ways. So I think now with BFA, people are saying the same thing they saw with WoD, and I think also Classic like plays a big part into this, because people are just looking for Classic now. They're just waiting for Classic. They're like, so, okay, you know, whatever, get this out of the way. It's kind of like, you know, it's like the plot in a porn movie. BFA is the plot, Classic's the cum shot.
About Blizzard that I find to be pretty interesting, and I think it had a very interesting response. So, patch 8.2. Why did I end up thinking to myself, wow, has the camel's back finally broken? Well, that's because throughout Battle for Azeroth, you know, there's been annoyances here and there, right? You know, it's not really
like
been an ideal time. Blizzard, in fairness to them, have acknowledged that Battle for Azeroth has not been an ideal time, especially as compared to Legion.
Yeah, they know it sucks.
For me, you know, I really thought, okay, patch 8.2, this could be the big turnaround. Indeed, I released an episode of the news that was covering Blizzard, or Ian Hazakostas' interviews with PC Gamer and Polygon, I believe. And that just got so many views. People seemed really thrilled about it, and that meant that I was really excited about it, which meant that whenever that live stream came up, I thought, we are going full.
Am I pausing too much in the video? Like, tell me if I am, but I want to just comment on like one thing that he said there about the people like giving a lot of like feedback and like watching the videos where like Ian was actually talking about the game. People are desperately waiting for the game to be better, right? I mean, like, there are literally millions of people. Like, I think like WoW has had like over the course of its time like 100 million registered accounts. So there are millions of people, even probably millions of people that aren't playing right now that are waiting to have a reason to play. So every single time that they actually sit down and talk nuts and bolts and, you know, Titan forging, like gear systems, reward structures, etc., there are so many people that are interested in that because that's one of the main things that's keeping them away from the game. The content itself, Rise of Ashara, is not what's going to get people to come back. It's the content systems that drive Rise of Ashara. It's the same reason why Timeless Isle was so successful. It wasn't necessarily because Timeless Isle was a nice area. It was the systems that were inside of Timeless Isle that made it true to its name.
BlizzCon mode, I really want to dive deep into this, so I made loads of videos, 5 videos, and for me what was really important about those videos was that there was one on discussing the details of the world content and what that could mean as terms of design direction, and the same goes for rewards. Like, have Blizzard finally started to realize what people find rewarding? And those are both videos that were not really met with that much, you know, of a good response, let's just say. And then what was weird is I looked at other creators, and I sort of dug around some sources that I have. I can't reveal anything to do with them, but suffice to say, numbers across the board are not good for patch 8.2 related content. Taliesin Navitel's video, even though it was an hour long, pretty much performed on average for them. Hazel's videos did not do that great, and that's with like her having the scoop from being there.
What about Asmongold's videos? Oh, that's right. I mean, I hit my quota for videos this year. 1.
Preach's videos also didn't really do that great, including his Heart of Azeroth video, and this is not a knock on anyone involved. Like, my videos got demolished as well. Now, if anyone is going to get a video that'll perform really well based on the Heart of Azeroth, it's Preach.
Very true.
He is the guy who revealed was publicly, loudly talking about that, the earliest with the most criticism that turned out to be right. So you would think that his video covering the new system would have done amazingly well.
Very true.
It kind of didn't. And just the comments everywhere, all of that stuff, all just people essentially saying, I'm done, I'm not interested.
Sorry. Here's why that video doesn't do very well. So let's look at concentric circles. Okay? What are these pause things, dude? Okay. So we have the concentric circle of all people that play WoW. And then you have smaller concentric circles of people that only play classic WoW, people that only play retail WoW, people that only play raiding in retail WoW. The video on the Heart of Azeroth only hits the people that are playing retail WoW that care about it. Whenever you talk about meta content, like Preach's video about how I let you down, let's look at how many views that has. 157,000. That's because any person can watch that video and be able to relate to it and understand what's going on. Whenever you're talking about the current game and current events inside the game, that is accessible for a smaller audience of people, which means that there are going to be less people that are going to organically look out to and actively try to consume that content. That's why.
Even anecdotally, all of my real life friends have, they pretty much all came back for BFA. They have now all left. Every single one of them. They've now all left, and they've said they have no wish to return, at least until 9.0.
Yeah, and I wasn't reacting to their videos either.
Even then. That's
that
my
too.
own personal experience with that. I mean, my guild obviously, did not make it into Battle for Azeroth. Speaking anecdotally to people I meet in the street who, recognize me from doing this channel, like I met a guy in the shop pretty recently. He was like, yep, I have no interest in coming back, but I like watching your videos to keep up with the game.
I hear that a lot from people too.
And that's been a more and more common thing. And it's all just kind of coalesced around patch 8.2, which personally, I thought this would be like an Argus-like moment. Like, I really thought this would feel like a mini expansion to people because we were getting 2 new zones. Yep. Both of those zones, very different styles to the zones that we've currently got for Kulturas and Zandalar right now. a very different progression system with the Heart of Azeroth that I think, not ideal for the most hardcore people, but basically solves most of the problems and should be, it just seems a lot better designed as a overall thing to collect and work through, let's just say. So overall, really good improvements from what, in terms of intent and what they want to do, yet the reaction seems to have been overwhelming apathy.
Yep.
And people not really caring. And that's what really just led me to think, has the camel's back finally broken? Was that period of time between 8.1 and likely, 8.2, and how that's really going to be a very long time, and just the slow pace of BFA, and has that been enough? Is that, just a few more, straws have gone to the camel's back and now it's gone? Personally, what I suspect has happened is a lot of people just stopped playing the game because they weren't that interested.
Yeah.
But they then maybe realized, you know what? I don't miss it. Because I don't think Battle for Azeroth is something that people are really going to miss unless they have a super strong social center within the game. And, I really think that is going to keep anyone in any game.
Very
but for
true.
the more casual sort of fair weather people, or, even some of the people who are pretty hardcore about the game, it just seems like, 8.1 came out.
I took a break for a while.
They stopped playing the game. They've not played it for 2 or 3 months, and they don't feel much of a desire to come back. That's just the sense that I have got from taking the temperature of the community, let's just say. And I'm not saying that's got me overall worried. I'm actually expecting that this is a...
Oh, really? It doesn't have you overall worried? I understand you want to diversify your content, Bellular, but you're also making these new news videos, which are great, by the way. That's why look at every single other WoW content creator. Like, everybody is making other videos from, what do you call it? From other stuff besides WoW. Like, Bellular is just one of them. OSRS WoW Killer? I don't know about all that, okay? Nobody's being exposed. I'm not exposing him. Like, I mean, this is something like I thought of that. That's why I started playing other games. Because I was like, well, like WoW, like, is only going to have so many people watching, and I wanted to, like, have at least some way to get more people to watch, etc. OSRS. I'm not a big fan of OSRS, but we'll see what happens. Okay.
See it and believe it situation, and I'm pretty sure the Blizzard know what's wrong with the game and that 8.2 is going to do a pretty good job of fixing those things.
Oh, sure.
But I think for me the overall point here is that people's willingness to be interested in World of Warcraft and their willingness to take Blizzard's words and be excited about Blizzard's ideas, that is something that, it has been downtrending, but this is the first major event for me that it really has plummeted down hard. I mean, views-wise for me, like, patch 8.1 is massively outperforming patch 8.2, even like for like, with some of that content.
That's sad.
That is just an interesting situation.
That
I
is
think
really
back to
sad.
Argus, and I think they're fairly analogous. I mean,
Wow.
Argus wasn't even an established thing as much in the lore as Queen Ashara and Nazjatar are. So even based on just concept with like that and N'Zoth, basically, yeah, that's just it. I thought more people would be interested on this patch based off concept, intent, and ideas, such that
nobody cares about any of that.
Of the 40-odd minute thing would be met with a BlizzCon level of interest, as you would have seen from the patch 7.2 BlizzCon trailer or things like that. Yet it clearly has not been, and that is just a very interesting thing. For the longest time, people have been saying, oh, WoW's dead, not interested in coming back, blah, 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 and they then came back to the game. Yep. Obviously, people have been, dropped off along the way, but broadly speaking, the damage has not stuck. Blizzard have typically been able to re-engage their audience with new expansions. We all know, like, Battle for Azeroth, massive big spike in subs. Same goes for Legion.
People are always going to buy the new
WoD,
expansion.
and, more importantly, for Legion after the disaster that was WoD. But I wonder if this is now the point where that's not a given, and Blizzard are really going to have to fight to get every individual subscriber back to their game.
That's what they had to do with Legion.
Mood of the community that I've not really felt. And I've been doing this for a long time. I've been doing this through the peak Mists of Pandaria backlash, where everyone's like, oh, it's Kung Fu Panda, boo. Through the peak Warlords of Draenor, consistent backlash, which, let's be real, was completely justified. Through Legion, through BFA, and, even with, say, the Hellfire patch in...
Yeah, I used to love, like, WoD, man. Like, I could just, like, anytime I wanted to make a video, I could just, like, turn on my camera and be like, yo, so, like, listen, like, this game sucks fucking dick. Like, I hate this game. It's so bad. And like people like comments like, yo, Prophet, you dude, the wow Jesus, dude, so true, bro. Like, that is, yes, dude. Man, we love your videos. Like, yeah, dude, they suck dick. And like, you know, the next day I do the same thing. Your streams of WoW are the best. Remember when I do the lap around the garrison? You know, I'd go like in between the fences, and I'd go up the stairs and then down, like over the gladiator sanctum, and I'd jump over the ramp, and then I'd go around the tree, and then over the rock path. Oh man, dude, I've done so many of those. I still remember I had to do it. The only thing that's depressing is I also have that same lap that I do around Borealis now.
In Warlords of Draenor, it's almost as if there was more excitement for it. So it's weird. It's weird, and I really want to know what you think about it. This is like really important, so I'd just love to hear what you think. And if you are somebody who's like excited about it or interested in it, but is in the sort of silent majority, like, please speak up. If you're not if you don't speak up, you won't be heard. And it's very important that we can all just take the temperature of the community and find out where people are. So yeah, let me know what you think. Let me know what your friends think, your guild. I'm super interested to see what people think about patch 8.2. Because, I mean, from my perspective, you know, I was really excited about some of the lore teases that happened and some of the lore teases that Taliesin said in his video. And, you know, to me, I was kind of hyped about, yeah, I'm going to make a lore video on Sunday. We're going to talk about that image of Bane. You know, we're going to talk about 8.3, the little hints of 9.0 we've got. But after seeing people's general apathy, I kind of thought, well, I think I'll save that one for later, because this is clearly the wrong time to be releasing content about that sort of thing. So, yeah, I'm really interested to hear what you think. Please do let me know. So with that covered, I think we have a bit of a side topic that's somewhat related, and that is Mike not getting to go to the developer summit sort of thing. And, you know, it's a very interesting situation. You know, word passes around, I think, once we could all really extrapolate what was actually happening when he initially, made his video about getting banned. And it's just very interesting because, I mean, the community, I'd say, broadly is on Preach's side. Like, the likes of Reddit and stuff can be pretty negative towards him, yet he was even getting towards the top of Reddit with, somebody, like, posted his video. And his video was mainly just talking about how he was sorry that he was, involved with the exploiting, and that he feels like he sort of missed an opportunity to go and bring his audience's feedback to Blizzard. He'd been doing a bunch of work on a document and a bunch of stuff like that. And yeah, just how Blizzard pretty much were like, nope, you're a bad boy now, get out, get you gone, goodbye.
As someone who's familiar with that, it sucks. That being said, I understand why they did it, but I do think that it was a mistake. Ultimately, it's always like a Blizzard. I understand like where they're coming from. I just feel like they lost more than they gained. It's like the integrity and everything like that. I think they're kind of two separate things. Like, somebody can know a lot about the game, but they can still be a piece of shit, and you'd still want to hear what they have to say. I don't know. I can think of at least a couple people that are like that.
Which, I mean, from what I understand, if you do commit a no-no, that is pretty much what Blizzard do. Yeah, they very much are a big company in many ways, let's just say. I mean, it's an interesting thing. It is something that I think did not play well into our little community's response to patch 8.2. I think that was a bit of a downer for many people. I don't think that is going to have much of an impact on, it's not going to have an impact in the patch or anything like that, right?
No.
But it is just something that I think was a bit of a dampener on a lot of the online discussion for certain groups of people, and is an interesting thing. I mean, personally, I do think that Blizzard should have just given him a slap in the wrist and, still took him over, because ultimately they invited him there. There's more I could say in this, but they invited him there, for his opinions. And just because he went and did a no-no,
see all these cuts, dude?
Exploiting, doesn't mean that those opinions no
that was a
longer
rant
exist.
that he cut out.
Blizzard have sort of denied themselves
Guaranteed.
something that they actually wanted. Now, that said, I'm very suspicious of an event like that. It lasted one day. I think they said there was like 2 hour-and-a-half-long panels. You can't get that much work done in 2, panels like that. If they really wanted, the likes of Breach's feedback, what they would probably do is say, hey, Mike, and a bunch of other people, and hopefully some of the theory crafters as well, because feedback sessions like that should not just be people who have an audience. Having an audience means you're good at getting heard. It does not always mean you've got the best opinions in the planet, right? So you want to get some of the community representatives there, like the me, Taliesin, Preach, etc. But you also do want to get some of the old school theory crafters. It's really important to get those guys feedback.
Why does nobody ever talk about me, dude? Nobody fucking talks about me, dude. They're like, oh yeah, all these other people. Well, what about me? Like, it's like all the list. Oh yeah, all the relevant people. Period. So where's Asmongold? Wait, what? Wow, dude. Absolutely, you're AFK. Yeah, I was AFK. You were dead. Yeah, I was on break. I'm not a real YouTuber. Yeah, that's really what it is. Not a real YouTuber.
Anyway, if they really wanted their feedback, they get them there. They get them there for
Didn't
a
you
week,
get invited?
And they...
Yeah, Blizzard did invite me to this. I wasn't able to go, but Blizzard did invite me. So it's not like they invited all the dick suckers to go tell them how great the game was. Yeah, so that is true.
Try to get some pretty intense sessions. Look at, say, the EVE, the EVE Online developer, CCP, and the CSM, the Council for Stellar Management, which is actually a sort of player advocacy group set up by CCP that people get elected to, and that kind of acts as a feedback mechanism. Now, interestingly, one person in the CSM got banned because of corruption and is a real-life lobbyist, which once again just means EVE Online is absolutely hilarious in the stories that it produces. But if Blizzard really cared about community feedback, they'd go for something like that. Some sort of advocacy thing.
I have a friend that plays this game.
Proper program.
I've thought about it.
But they're clearly not that interested in that. Let's be real. So I'm kind of suspicious about the whole thing. But I definitely think that just how they handled the Preach situation was very much not... They just were clearly not aware of how PR works. And I think when you're dealing with PR, it would be really useful to know how PR works and to try to predict people's reactions so that you can, use them. But they don't seem to be very good at doing that, so it's a very odd aside. So there you go. That's the odd situation with Preach. Overall, I think it's really unfortunate the way that whole thing went down. It was bad for Preach. It was, I think, bad for the community.
If they had invited him, there would have been bad PR too. They'd be like, oh, Blizzard is supporting exploiters. There's no way that Blizzard can win. I think they made the wrong decision, but there's also, you've got to realize that too. Nothing that they can do. Like, less bad PR? I mean, who knows? Like, maybe it would be worse. They should have invited him, but left him outside the room. Yeah, that'd be perfect.
It was bad for Blizzard. Everyone lost.
Yeah, they did invite the NOS crew.
Next,
that's a good counterpoint.
The mount equipment thing. There has been an interesting backlash from a lot of the people who farmed up their Water Striders. Of course, back when farming up a Water Strider was really hard, and it wasn't just a matter of, do some Mists of Pandaria time walking.
Never.
It's an interesting thing. I think it's somewhat of an aside. I mean, for me, it's not a massively important discussion because I think that the mount equipment is fundamentally boring, and I don't think it's really doing the job that it should be doing, and I kind of disagree with what they would be doing with the Water Striders. I really think that water walking, sure, why is that not a special thing the Water Striders and a few other mounts can do? And then, give people a consumable for their other mounts, which, by the way, is how the game works literally right now. I would have far rather had, mount families have their own effects. And maybe if there's like 20 mount families in the game, just give them all a cool effect. Or, have a more in-depth customization system. Right now, I think it's an overly defensive design where they basically are saying, we don't want anyone to ever feel like they have to use any particular mount other than the one they think is the most pretty. Therefore, we've designed a system to make all mounts be mechanically, not unique. I mean, I just personally do think it's the wrong direction, given how cool Guild Wars 2's mounts are, where, they have a small number of mount families, but within each mount family, they do actually have loads of skins and different models and stuff. But that's been an interesting thing, because that's even a system where I think, in the normal environment, people, I think, would have been pretty excited about that. Not the case, though. Not the case this time. People were actually very mixed on that. I think I just want to break this into even more of a broad discussion about, I think, people's willingness to be excited about the game, because I think this is a super interesting thing. When I was talking about the Heartforge, a lot of people were just saying, this is barely any different. This is just like the Netherlight Crucible. But the thing is, from looking at how it works, from, listening to Slootbag talk about it, those things, it's nothing like the Netherlight Crucible at all. Like, in no way is it anything like that. Yet, there is a widespread willingness, I think, just to not really care and to not give Blizzard a fair shot. Now, when I say that, that's not me being a shill.
Yep.
That is me saying that Blizzard have tanked their public relations to the point where this is now a problem they have to deal with, and I can't really blame people for feeling that way. As much as Blizzard may not feel that it's fair on them, ultimately it is a sort of situation that Blizzard themselves did end up creating by how they managed Battle for Azeroth. Which, you know...
Here's how they can solve the problem. Just make a good game. Like, people are complaining about my streams. If I do a few good streams, nobody complains. It's done. Like, there's no more complaining. Like, that's the same with anybody, right? Like, you just go on. You make good content. People complained about Legion, but it wasn't nearly as bad. You just have to make good content, and then everything else is gonna everything else will work itself out. I think players don't feel respected by Blizzard. I think that's probably the best way to personify it.
Kind of sucks for everyone right now. It's weird. I mean, look, to give you my perspective on, as you know, going into PTR, it's very much I'll believe it if I see it. That's pretty much where I think the community is right now.
That's about right.
So going into PTR, that's very much my goal. It is to show you so that you can, you know, see it and think whatever you want based on whatever, you know, you see. I want to just present the systems as they are, explain how they work. That's my core goal. So that can really help people just, you know, work out if this is a patch that they're interested in. I'm somewhat hopeful. I'm somewhat skeptical as well, given what Blizzard says and what Blizzard ends up executing on, often do very wildly. But yeah, man, it's just it's a funky situation. And you probably noticed, this is not like your normal episode of the news. Reason why is, I've got no script right now. I just, you know, had some thoughts I wanted to get out there. So this very much is like the type of video I would have made 5 years ago or 4 years ago. But sometimes I think for an issue like this,
the type of video I make today,
it's better not to have a script. It's better just to sit down, look in the camera, have an honest discussion, and really think through the problems together. So, I mean, obviously this is one way. The together bit, hopefully, is in me reading the comments and hearing what everyone has to say. I am genuinely really interested in what you have to say about this. As I said, I've been doing World of Warcraft coverage for like 5 or 6 years. This feels really different to how other big patch announcements and stuff have felt in the past. And that's why, yeah, I'm just super interested in whatever you have to say. So let me know. Of course, PTR will be this week at some point. I will be covering it. There will be a lot of content on this channel, so no matter what we think about A2 now, we will get to see very soon, and I think that's just what I'm looking forward to. I think once we actually see what this patch is, then that will give us some clarity. And look, even if this patch is a total wash, I have plans for this channel's content that are not really tied to the current game, and I think it's actually...
Because Nazjahr is underwater.
A lot of content that would be really high quality, that would be really interesting. So no matter what happens to this patch, I'm still going to be here. I'm still going to be talking into this camera. We'll be doing lore, retrospective things, mini documentaries. There'll be a lot going on, so don't worry about that. But yeah, anyway, there we go. Let me know what you think. Thank you very much for watching this video, and I'll see you next time.
It's good points he brings up. I think he's right about a lot of it. I think he definitely is. There's been a lot of, I'd say, apathy in the community, and I've seen just more and more and more of it. It's a huge disappointment to see, and it's like you have a lot of the people, like the guy that we looked at earlier, Shogun, and you know, they just have such like a negative, like super negative perspective of the game, and I don't really know exactly, like, I mean, how do you even, like, I think once Classic comes out, a lot of the negativity for the game is going to go away, because all the people that want Classic will have Classic. So they're not going to be complaining about the current game, because they're going to be busy playing the game that they want, and they're not even going to think about it. So, should the audio's back? I'll have to watch my VOD and decide myself. So I think that's really what it is. They'll complain about something inside Classic. Well, yeah, but then everybody's going to see how dumb they are. But the thing is that I think that the Bellular is kind of right. I mean, I don't know, like, what do people say about this? Let's see. Problem for me is terrible class design and unrewarding gearing process. 8.2 is not going to fix that. That is pretty much, I'm going to give that a +1 because it's completely true. Let's see. Only interested in the lore and the cool cinematics. I mean, there it is. I quit playing when all my friends quit, basically hitting the nail on the head. People are tired of being held a carrot on a stick, basically. And with the RNG at the moment, you're not even sure if it's a carrot to begin with. Might as well just be a rotten tomato. Wow. Not unique. The motto of a game that failed to make an RPG. I think really, like, Blizzard, they've got to stop trying to make their game like other MMOs, and I think they've probably done that a little bit too much, which is, like, kind of weird. And I think sometimes it's a good thing, sometimes it's a bad thing. But, like, they're like, oh, every other game has matchmaking. Well, yeah, but they suck. I mean, they're bad. Like, they're bad games. So, like, why would you... Yeah, other MMOs, like, oh, yeah, let's emulate this other game that has a fraction of our population, and even those people don't really give a fuck about it. Like, it just makes no sense. You know what I mean? Look at all these classic players incoming. Well, no, I get, like, let's go ahead and see here. Skeptical of anything Activision Blizzard. See, that's, I think, what happened is that, like, people got this idea that Activision is, like, pulling all the strings for Blizzard, and they just assumed that everything Blizzard does isn't, like, really genuine or good anymore. And I think the truth of that is that Activision probably, like, sets standards, and Blizzard has to meet those standards. And by meeting those standards, Blizzard has to create features and systems that the player base doesn't want, like Titan forging, for example. I think that's really kind of what happens. Blizzard is bad as nothing to Activision. I also, yeah, I think that you're right. Like, it's like such a cop-out. Like, oh, it's everything that's bad is Activision's fault. Come on. Like, let's be a little bit more, like, you're just letting off Blizzard scot-free to say, you know, anything we do wrong is somebody else's fault. I mean, that doesn't really seem fair to me. I mean, fuck, dude. I mean, come on. I doubt that Activision micromanages Blizzard that much. You're right. But I do also, I mean, do you doubt that somewhere at the top that is comprised mostly of Activision people, from my understanding, isn't setting metrics for participation and revenue that forces Blizzard to do things that they might not naturally do on their own? That's where I think it's coming from. That's what I think it is.